So hey YouTube, welcome back to the Sweeney's. It's story time. Okay, so I had wrote it down because there was so many questions and I couldn't keep up. So I wrote it down in a book, and it's about having a uterine fibroid. When I was, September, October, November, December, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's say I was like 5 months and they found out that I had a uterine fibroid while I was pregnant. I've never heard of it. They like, have you ever had any complications with your babies, this, and that? And I've never had any complications. My son came a week early and my daughter came a day or two early. So yeah, I wasn't concerned about anything. But with that being said, they were like, "Are you sure this and that?" And I'm like, "Nah, the only thing that I do get is the Rogam shot because we're two different blood types." But first it started off at 2 centimeters and it began to grow. Like a month later, Jemai, get up here now. It was like 6. And then after that, when I checked it again, I'm just assuming it was 6 like a month later because when I got checked again, it was at 9 centimeters. And I was like maybe 7 months pregnant. But the thing is that I've never heard of it, so I was very scared. What is it? Yeah, so the only thing that I had, Jemima, come here. No, stay right there with your toys. Relax, okay? So the only thing that I did have was, well, not even the only, like this was the worst. It was pain, and it tells you that it's common because of the fibroid. So it looked like, when I seen on the ultrasound, it looked like a ball. So it was like my baby was right here, and then it was the uterine fibroid, which was scary because I'm like, what is that? And you can definitely see it on the ultrasound. But the thing is, pain is the most common complication of uterine fibroids in pregnancy. Like for me, it causes severe back pain. My legs were giving out everywhere we were at. Like it was just horrible for me to get up and go out and do like that baby shopping or that food shopping or help with the laundry, whatever the case may be. But yeah, it was extremely horrible. Like my back was crazy. My husband bought me a heating pad. That was like the worst back pain I experienced with any of my pregnancies. So yeah, I think that's just the Lord telling me this is the last one, but I told myself this is the last one too. So yeah. But let's see what else. Oh yeah, like I said, I could barely walk. My legs would be giving out on me randomly. Then it got so bad I had to stop working because my doctors was telling me, "Oh, you're gonna put your baby at risk." Because at work I'm up and on my feet, so my doctors was like, "You're gonna put your baby at risk if you keep at it." So I was like, "Okay, either my job or my baby." So of course, my baby. I had quit my job, which I was there for like 3 months or something like that. I had just started a new job, and it was horrible because I had just came back to this job. But yeah, so I was putting my baby at risk, and like it was horrible. I needed help getting up just to use the bathroom. That's how bad this thing was. I did not know it was this that was causing all this pain. I thought it was regular, and I'm like, every baby is different. So I was just assuming that, okay, this is just a different baby, and I'm getting different pains. Different things are happening to my body. So no, when I went to the doctor and they're like, you have a uterine fibroid, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's that? They're like, we may have to remove it after you deliver the baby. I'm like, what? It's something? And they're like, yeah, and it looks like a ball. So that was freakishly scary. That definitely had me like, oh my gosh, I need to sit down and relax. So in September, I was out of work and on bed rest from September to, it was supposed to be December, but it ended up being November. Jamai. Oh, thank you, man. So yeah, that was horrible. But so I was on bed rest from September, October, then November. My son ended up coming. He was supposed to come December, but that was hectic for me. Like, just I was literally laying in my bed all day. My husband was bringing me everything, bringing my. The only thing he didn't do for me was shower for me, use the bathroom for me. Basically, like that's literally it. Stuff he couldn't do for me. So yeah, like even walking up the stairs, getting in the car, everything. If we had an appointment, we had to leave like 20 minutes early than the usual time because I need to take my time and tiptoe to the car because every step was hurting my body so bad. My pelvis, whoo, it hated me through this whole pregnancy. This was one of my happiest pregnancies, like I say all the time. This is the happiest I've been with any of my pregnancies, I can be honest, because in the past I was in rougher situations and I wasn't excited about it, but this one it was great. So to have that pain on top of my happiness, it was okay. You know, instead of like how can I say like comparing it to having that pain on top of whatever stress I already had. So I wasn't stressed out, which was awesome. But I did have this fibroid and didn't know where it came from, and they just said that oh yeah, they just popped it up on me. They're like, yeah, let's get you an ultrasound, this and that. I'm setting up a regular doctor's appointment. Then they're like, oh yeah, did you know you have a fibroid and it's 2 inches and it could grow and it could cause the baby position to change for them to be breached. You might have to get a C-section. So I say, you know what? The devil is a liar. We're not doing none of that. I pushed out all 3 of my babies with no epidural, none of that medicine. We gonna push this baby out. Like, we gonna do what we need to do. So, I took it upon myself to do light exercises. I was what they call it nesting. And I was preparing for the baby to come, making sure I was rechecking my list and everything. Pampers, wipes, like all the stuff, necessities babies need. And when I would sit down, it was like, oh no, I'm doing something wrong. I need to get up and I need to do something else. But then it hit me, and it's like, my husband like, you have to sit down now. Like, you could go into labor. So we went to the doctors, and what did they say? Oh, I was dilated 1 to 2 centimeters. And I'm like, what? We have a whole month before he comes. How is that possible? So they were like, we're just going to watch it. You know, you're a month away, but you can be dilated. You could be 1 centimeter for that whole month. So I was like, oh, okay, you know, I'm not worried about it. That's fine. They was like, we'll see you next week. I'm like, okay, I'll see y'all next week. So I had to go every week instead of every 2 weeks ahead of time because of the uterine fibroid. They wanted to make sure it was, like, they had to just monitor it, basically. So, who's on this step? No one. Just Jemima making noise. So, yeah. So then, like I said, so the symptoms also for this was the major back pain, but you'll have heavy menstrual bleeding. So you'll have a lot of pelvic pain and longer periods. But before all that even returns, like that's true because what is it? Yeah, like I said, I be having a brain fart. I might be in like a million places at once. But yeah, heavy menstrual bleeding. I haven't experienced that, to be honest. But pelvic pain with this is definitely the symptom that I had. Yeah, and it was horrible. It was completely horrible. I'm like, oh my gosh. And it felt like I could literally see my movement at the top of, like, at my on my pelvis. And I'm like, bro, I've never seen nothing like this. I told my husband, like, come here, look at this. Is this normal for me to see the baby right here, like, moving around? They're like, yeah, it looks like they're in your stomach. But, I mean, I'm telling you, it looks like the movement it gives you in your stomach. Like, how you can see the baby. Oh, look, the baby's moving. No, that was, like, in the pelvis area. And I'm like, hold up. What's going on? So the doctors is like, no, that's normal. And I'm like, okay. I was just checking. But, yeah. So they had to monitor this because it raises the risk of certain pregnancy complications, like, what is that called? placental eruption, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah. So this is the risk it causes, I guess, is the placental abruption, fetal growth restriction, so you can have the preterm delivery, basically, which is what they want to call what I had. But my baby was fully developed. He's still perfectly fine, so healthy we can say. But excuse me, hold on. Excuse me. So yeah, and they were worried because it could cause you to lose your baby also, which is very scary. But I thank God that every time, one time, like I said, I thank God that every time we went my baby, there was always a great heart rate and movement all the time. I had one occasion where I thought my baby wasn't moving, and it was so scary because it was like a month before my due date. This was like the beginning of November. So, I got up, I was about to eat dinner. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm squeezing my stomach, like doing this and poking at it, doing what I usually do to get him to give me some feedback. And I wasn't getting any of that. So what I did was got up and I'm like, babe, I'm about to go to the hospital. He's like, okay, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't feel his eye moving around, and I'm getting freaked out. We're too close. We got this uterine fibroid. So it wasn't just like one of our normal healthy pregnancies with nothing but a ROGAM shot. No, it was everything is taken very seriously, and not as if he's just perfectly fine and we don't need no precautions. No, they had me on labeled as high risk, and I'm just like, yeah. So I'm out. So I went to the hospital, and they were like, no, we can see him. He's head down. As soon as they put the monitor on him. Jemai, you okay? Go ahead. You can go with Mia and JJ, baby. So as soon as they put the monitor on him, all you hear is like, and I'm like, whew. I just needed that because, having a baby is very scary. It's not just about, oh my gosh, the labor pain is going to hurt. No, you got to mentally prepare for what comes with this baby. Hold on, Am. Do you need help? Mia, help Am. Yeah. So you gotta mentally prepare for what's. Yeah, he's coming, baby. Mentally prepare for what comes along with having a baby. So yeah, the only treatment that I could get during this pregnancy, with my son is Tylenol, and they gave me physical therapy. It messed with my knees, and boy, when I say it messed with my teeth, almost every tooth in my body, except for the front, this is gone. This is plastic. That's why it turns. It's plastic, and it's yellow. Let's keep it a stack. It's plastic and it's yellow. I can just pop that off. That's fake. My tooth. Guys, get out the garbage. Y'all went down? Where's Jemai? He's downstairs. No, leave him right there. Y'all ain't bringing no more toys down there. All them toys down there. You're about to come upstairs. Go down. Go down. So, yeah. My next video will be part 2 of this. Talking about what happened with my dental. This is something I've never talked about, but I'm going to say it today. But, on part 2. But back to this. So the uterine fibroid, all I could take was Tylenol. And I had physical therapy. So I was going to physical therapy, doing exercises and everything like that. But other than that, I had a heat pad, but I was limited that because that could send me into labor. And I was getting bad contractions, I was getting bad contractions in October. That's too far from December for me to be getting them like that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it feels like I'm in labor. So yeah, but I just had to deal with horrible contractions unexpectedly. Extreme back pain. That jaw grew from 2 centimeters to 9 centimeters. And it was killing my back. I told you to go downstairs. Go. And it was killing my back, tremendously. So I would need my husband to massage my back every night, like not skip a night. Some days I couldn't even bend over. It got to a certain extent, my doctor was like, don't bend over. My doctor was like, oh, you can't be doing a lot of bending or all that other stuff. Look at my edges. Go downstairs. Kids are not listening. But so the good part of this story, the moral of the story is you never know what to expect. Like, always expect the unexpected. But we just prayed through it, and I'm like, I thank God I'm not getting no C-section because I've never had one, and I always just wanted to keep doing the same thing I was doing, basically going natural. So when they said, oh, you may have to have a C-section, then afterwards you may have to have emergency surgery to get the uterine fibroid out of the way, because if not, I mean, yeah, I would have to get it removed, surgically removed. And I'm like, what? That's horrible. So long story short, that didn't happen. What happened was so first it was in the way of the baby. Then the next 2 weeks when I went back, I was dilated another centimeter, which I was 3 centimeters, I think. And then the uterine fibroid was on the side of the baby. So my baby was right here, and he was head down. Then the uterine fibroid was just on the side, like it moved out the way. So I'm telling you, like, prayer works. We pray. I was just like, we're just gonna pray. We're gonna have faith, and we're gonna believe that the uterine fibroid is gonna move out the way, and we're gonna have a normal labor and delivery, a healthy baby, healthy labor and delivery, and that's exactly what God gave us. So when my doctor went in, it had moved over at first. Then when I went back to my doctors, they said it had went away on its own. I didn't know that. They told me it could go away on its own, but I'm like, right now it's growing. So who would have known that? But it ended up shrinking, is what she said, and it just disappeared. So I'm like, what was it there for? So it just caused me all this extra pain just to disappear right before it was time for me to push. My son ended up coming 3 weeks early. That thing ended up disappearing before he even came. So I'm like, thank the Lord, like, God works in mysterious ways. But it was a scary situation, and I'm happy that it worked out the way that it did. But it did mess up my teeth tremendously. It gave me millions of cavities. I'm gonna do a video on it later, and so you guys can have the details of what it's called, actually, because it's a legit thing. And I was seeing the dentist, but it wasn't much they could do. And then with me craving like sweets and stuff, that wasn't helping, because the sugar, and then you being pregnant, it's how can I put this? It's not the norm if it's just you going to the dentist. You have a human being in your body, so your whole body is changing and forming and readjusting for the baby. So this right here, this is horrible. I go and like I said, I see the dentist during my pregnancy, because the doctor even asked you, when's your last dental appointment? I'm like, oh, I seen the dentist last week, whatever. I need a lot of work done. Like, at the end of my pregnancy, I needed a lot of work done, and I still do. Like, it's horrible, but it's real. So stay tuned for part 2, guys, and I will be explaining as to how it went from me just being a normal pregnancy to having these uterine fibroids. And now part 2 will be about my dental and what happened, and how I got so many cavities and crap done to my teeth, and how the baby changed my body in that way, which messes with the self-esteem also. But we will get into that in part 2 of story time. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for the support. Coming to you live from the SWEENEY'S. Let me stop.